On the Roundup today, taking a stand against abuse towards frontline council workers. Councils pushing back on electricity reforms, lifeguard funding and planning call-ins. Rural New South Wales councils look to the future after devastating economic blows. A council's planned tribute to ACDC. Striking staff to be locked out from today in Townsville. And commissioners appointed and the remaining councillors removed from the troubled town of Port Hedland Council. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy and this is the Local Government News Roundup for Wednesday, the 3rd of September. More news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Our podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. Welcome along to our Wednesday edition. The City of Greater Geelong has launched a new campaign aimed at protecting frontline workers from abuse and aggression. The initiative comes after more than 250 reports of occupational violence were lodged by city employees in the past year alone. The campaign features real council workers sharing their personal experiences of abuse, including one employee who reports being spat on while assisting a resident's mother. The campaign aims to remind residents that council workers are there to help the community, not be subjected to harmful behaviour. Strathbogie Shire Council is taking a strong stand on new electricity reforms in Victoria as rural landholders express growing concern about their rights and the future of agricultural land under the new legislation. Mayor Claire Hewitt-Kennedy said the reforms represent another blow to regional communities already grappling with drought, emergency services levy, unreliable power and growing inequities. Councillor Hewitt-Kennedy said Strathbogie Shire has some of the least reliable power in Victoria. Yet instead of addressing reliability, the reforms impose new risks and strip landholders of their rights. The council is calling on the state government to fix the long-standing reliability issues, invest in microgrids and storage, and guarantee fair and transparent engagement with landholders. Bass Coast Shire Council is pushing back against a proposed 160% increase in its contribution to beach lifeguard funding from $98,000 to over $260,000. It says the increase would strain its budget and comes after limited consultation and outside the normal budget cycle. Mayor Councillor Rochelle Halstead said asking councils to fund beach lifeguards is unfair and unsustainable, and it's disappointing to receive the request, especially given the Emergency Services Volunteer Fund and short-stay rental taxes already being imposed on the community. Banyule Council is concerned about a Victorian government decision to take control of a planning application in Rosanna. While it supports a mix of housing, the council believes the application in question fails to address key issues, including accessibility, setbacks, landscaping and design principles. It also holds concerns that the community is being shut out of discussions on town planning matters. A delegation of Victorian mayors has arrived in Canberra to advocate for local communities on the national stage. Led by MAV President Jennifer Anderson, the group is meeting with federal ministers and officials as part of the Make Good Happen campaign. The delegation is focusing on 5 key priorities: community infrastructure, road safety, fair energy transition, disaster resilience and strengthening local democracy. It includes mayors from Melton, South Gippsland, Murrindindi and Maroondah councils, representing both urban and regional interests across Victoria. And the Victorian Government has announced new funding for mentoring programs and a new award to recognise women in local government. $20,000 will help Algua Victoria to connect 20 women councillors with experienced mentors, while the Mary Rogers Achievement Award will celebrate women councillors working to advance gender equality in the local government sector. The initiatives are part of efforts to achieve gender parity across councillor and mayoral positions by 2028. Following the October 2024 elections, women now comprise 43% of councillors and 45% of Victoria's mayors. Rounding up more news in brief, Rob Guthrie has been elected as a councillor for South Ward on Macedon Ranges Shire Council in a countback, including unsuccessful candidates who were still eligible for election. The vacancy occurred after the passing of Councillor Christine Walker. The Age reports today on the installation of a CCTV camera by Port Phillip City Council at a reserve in Balaclava to monitor dog owners' compliance with on-leash rules. Residents and privacy experts have questioned the council's approach. A new steel sculpture featuring 3 galloping horses has been unveiled in Lang Lang, Victoria, honouring the town's rodeo heritage and cultural identity. The work was funded by the Victorian Government's RDV Tiny Towns Fund and Cardinia Shire Council. And Greater Geelong Council has approved the sale of approximately 2.8 hectares of former sale yards land in North Geelong for higher density housing, public spaces and limited commercial uses. The decision aligns with the Geelong Sale Yards precinct plan, with the city retaining around 1.5 hectares for drainage infrastructure. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup. It's our midweek edition for Wednesday, the 3rd of September. Good to have you along wherever you are listening from. In New South Wales, the Mayor of Murrumbidgee Council, Ruth McRae OAM, says the closure of Coprice's Colliamberley facility from this week is a devastating loss for the community. The closure, linked to drought conditions, will impact not only direct employees but also contractors, drivers and businesses connected to the mill, as well as eliminating a key buyer for various feed grains and agricultural byproducts. Councillor McRae said it's another blow following on from the news that Jerilderie and Darlington Point Bendigo Bank agencies will close in October. Richmond Valley Council is navigating the departure of Primex Field Days from casino by focusing on attracting new events and implementing its economic development strategy to promote regional growth. The council said it's disappointing news that Primex is moving to Lismore after providing significant financial and logistical support for 40 years. General Manager Vaughan McDonald said the council remains committed to establishing Richmond Valley as a regional growth centre and enhancing its annual events calendar. Upper Hunter Shire Council is calling for the New South Wales Government to review disaster recovery funding rules that currently exclude water infrastructure from eligibility, despite a recent storm causing $500,000 in damage to essential assets. Mayor Maurice Collison argues the classification of water services as commercial activities unfairly burdens small rural councils with costs from natural disasters, creating an inequitable system that shifts financial responsibility from state to local government. And VOSPA has been elected to Glen Innes Severn Council via a countback election to fill the vacancy left by Councillor Troy Arundale's resignation in July. Mayor Margot Davis and General Manager Bernard Smith welcomed her to the council, emphasising the importance of diverse representation and constructive debate in serving the community's interests. Shoalhaven City Council's 4th quarterly report for the 24-25 year has highlighted significant progress on their Sustainable Financial Futures Plan. It says it's achieved $4.1 million in savings through cost-cutting initiatives. The report showcases successful staff-driven initiatives, including reduction in leased premises, promotion savings for the Shoalhaven Entertainment Centre and IoT implementation. $11.3 million was received from the sale of 12 land parcels across the council area. Burwood Council has announced plans to create a major tribute to legendary rock band AC/DC, hoping to rival Liverpool's famous Beatles monument. The council voted last week to establish a 300-seat performance venue named the Young Theatre, honouring brothers Angus and Malcolm Young, who formed the iconic band while living in Burwood in 1973. The Sydney Morning Herald reported that the theatre will be part of a $57.8 million cultural centre set to be completed by 2029. Plans also include renaming Railway Square as AC/DC Square and installing larger-than-life bronze statues of the band. And Bayside Council has endorsed 2 motions for the upcoming Local Government New South Wales annual conference in November, addressing early childhood education and calling for the reintroduction of regional squads to deal with illegal dumping. Mayor Edward McDougall expressed hope that gaining support from other councils will strengthen their position when advocating for increased state government support on the matters. In Queensland, industrial tensions have reached new heights in Townsville, with the City Council announcing it will lock out staff who participate in further industrial action. The unprecedented 48-hour lockouts will begin this morning and continue until Thursday evening, affecting employees who join planned strike activities. The dispute centres around wage negotiations, with the council offering increases ranging from 11 to nearly 22% over 3 years, depending on job classifications. Union reps are reportedly seeking significantly higher increases of almost 23% in the first year alone. The Australian Workers' Union described the lockout as reckless and spiteful and warned that services would ground to a halt. The industrial action has disrupted waste collection and other essential services across Townsville for the past 10 weeks. Former Isaac Mayor Anne Baker has taken a commanding lead in the Mackay Council by-election, with 60% of enrolled voters counted. Ms Baker is holding twice as many votes as her closest competitors, Andrew De Guara and Melissa Milton. The by-election was triggered by George Christensen's resignation earlier this year. The Electoral Commission of Queensland will continue to accept postal votes until the 7th of September. And Ipswich City Council has endorsed a new transport strategy focused on improved connectivity and a greater range of choice for travellers. Mayor Teresa Harding said since Ipswich's first integrated transport plan was released 9 years ago, the city's population had grown by more than 75,000 and new challenges for the transport network had emerged. She said transport remains a critical issue, with population on track to grow to over 500,000 by 2046. Rounding up more news in brief, Ballina Shire is combating textile waste through an EPA-funded project which aims to encourage clothing repair and reuse to keep textiles out of landfill. 83% of discarded clothing items at Ballina Resource Recovery Centre are in good condition, highlighting the need for behaviour changes in the community's approach to fashion, consumption and disposal. Townsville City Council is combating repeated thefts of roses from Queen's Gardens, including 48 roses grown for veterans and 11 entire rose plants stolen in the past month. Acting Mayor Anne-Marie Graney condemned the thefts as mindless and unacceptable. The city is using CCTV to catch the culprits. And Hobart City Council is partnering with charity DV Safe Phone to collect used mobile phones at 4 council locations for refurbishment and distribution to domestic violence survivors. Pulse Tasmania reported the initiative will provide essential communication devices to those who've had phones destroyed or monitored by perpetrators. Still in Tasmania, a $2.1 billion AI data centre has been given the go-ahead by Launceston City Council. Pulse Tasmania reported that the project, set for St Leonards, will establish the city as a tech innovation hub, with construction expected to be completed by mid-next year. The development will create up to 100 direct jobs and leverage Tasmania's renewable energy advantage. In South Australia, Mount Gambier Council will pay a significantly reduced annual contribution to the Limestone Coast Local Government Association this year, according to SE Voice. The association's draft budget shows a $95,000 contribution, down from $251,000. The organisation has made changes after the withdrawal of Wattle Range Council this year. The Western Australian government has appointed 3 commissioners to lead the town of Port Hedland following the resignation of the mayor and the declaration of vacancy for all council positions. The commissioners, Jessica Shaw, the chair, Martin Aldridge, deputy chair, and Ron Jurovich, AM, will serve until a new council is elected in March next year and its first meeting is held. Ms Shaw and Mr Aldridge are both former parliamentarians, while Mr Jurovich was a long-term mayor of Kalgoorlie Boulder Council. The commissioners' priority will be to adopt the council's budget for 25-26 and provide good governance for the community until democratic representation can be restored. And the Shire of Augusta-Margaret River is seeking community feedback on a proposed renewable energy local planning policy, which would guide council decision-making on future renewable energy proposals in the region. Residents are encouraged to review the issues and options paper and complete a survey by September 19 to help ensure the policy reflects community priorities. And checking in now on some stories from overseas, we're going to start in New Zealand, where Grey District Council has called in police after receiving online threats against councillors, including references to assassination and torture. The behaviour has escalated amid anger over rates increases and potential water charges, according to a report from the press. Council Chief Executive Joanne Soderland has condemned the threats as beyond disgraceful, while Mayor Tanya Gibson said the behaviour was frightening for councillors' families, particularly children. In the UK, Epping Forest District Council says it's keeping its options open after the Court of Appeal denied its application for permission to appeal the overturning of an injunction against the use of the Bell Hotel to house asylum seekers. Council leader Chris Whitbread says the council is considering making a direct appeal to the Supreme Court, and he's made a public appeal for calm, asking protesters to consider suspending their twice-weekly demonstrations as the new school year begins. The council maintains that the use of the hotel breaches planning controls and is against local interests, and they believe the Court of Appeal's decision to overturn the interim injunction was wrong. Essex police have made arrests following disturbances in recent weeks, prompting the council and community leaders to call for restraint from protest organisers. Coventry City Council is facing criticism over a £500,000 contract with an American technology company linked to the Israel Defence Forces. The Coventry Telegraph reported that concerns have been raised about both the company's controversial defence industry connections and the allocation of funds amid service cuts across the city. The contract involves AI implementation in children's services, and the matter will be addressed at an upcoming council meeting where it's believed protesters are planning to gather. And Bristol City Council has formally returned 33 Indigenous cultural artefacts, including 3-metre spears, to Australia's Larrakia people after the items spent decades in storage since being taken in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The Guardian reported that the artefacts will be displayed at the Larrakia Cultural Centre in Darwin and used to teach future generations about their heritage. In the US, the actress Edie Falco, known for The Sopranos and Nurse Jackie, among other roles, has written to New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams, urging her to stop blocking a proposed ban on horse-drawn carriages following incidents where horses collapsed and died on city streets. The proposed legislation, called Riders' Law, would replace horse carriages with electric vehicles and, according to People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, has the support of 70% of New Yorkers. The law has been stalled for 3 years. To Canada, in Ontario, North Bay City Council has voted to enhance transparency by requiring online publication of council expense reports. This follows controversy surrounding its mayor's use of a corporate credit card for personal expenses. CTV News reported that Mayor Peter Chirico is currently under investigation by the OPP, the Integrity Commissioner, and Ontario's Inspector General of Policing after using his city credit card for approximately $16,000 in personal expenses, including golf memberships, cigarettes, and dog treats. Protesters gathered outside City Hall calling for the mayor's resignation, but he says he won't step down and maintains he's done nothing wrong. The city will now publish detailed quarterly and annual expense reports dating back to October 2022. And the city of Saskatoon is seeking to increase its debt limit from $558 million to nearly $1 billion to fund major infrastructure projects, including water treatment expansions. The city's debt is expected to peak at around $814 million by 2031, according to CTV News. Despite the significant increase, Saskatoon maintains one of the lowest debt levels among Western Canadian municipalities. And that's your update for Wednesday, the 3rd of September from the Local Government News Roundup. This has been edition number 486. Brought to you as always by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. Comments or feedback on this episode can be sent to lgweeklynews@gmail.com, or you can find out more, including all of the story links, by heading to lgnewsroundup.com. Thank you to those who help make the podcast possible by supporting us through a monthly subscription. Support starts at $3 per month, which is around $5 Australian, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support is greatly appreciated. You'll find the details on the website or in your podcast player. The Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. The VLGA is offering a special councillor professional development intensive series. Partner with 3 other councils and save more than 50% off the minimum cost of completing all 13 modules in Year 1. The intensives will be held over 3 days. They're cost-effective, time-efficient, and promote the benefits of peer-to-peer and face-to-face learning. In addition to the intensives and in recognition that every council has different needs, the VLGA also offers bespoke training options, both online and in person. A faculty of facilitators will work with you to customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council. To find out more, head to www.vlga.org.au.